What's the deal, my people? You know it is Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you with another one, and this one is The Joker. Now, it seems that people, since seeing the ending of this movie, The Joker, are confused about the ending itself. They wonder, how did it truly end? Was the ending real, or was the ending fake? What in the movie was real, and what in the movie was fake? And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly that. Exactly what was real and what was fantasy. And I'm going to use every Easter egg that you missed to prove that everything I'm saying is true. And I will explain to you exactly the ending of the Joker movie. So, spoilers for the Joker. If you do not want to know anything, you have not seen the movie yet, please go watch the movie, then come back to this video. In order to understand the Joker movie and the ending of the Joker movie, you must understand this. 75% of what you see is fake. The other 25% that truly did happen, the Joker is telling you how he wants you to see it. So it didn't exactly happen the way that we see it in the movie. And I'm going to explain to you all these scenes and everything that's going on. So let's take this from the beginning, and I'll ask questions and answer these questions for you. First question is, was the Joker actually a clown for hire? So we see Arthur Fleck in this clown for hire role. Yes, this is 100% true. He was a clown for hire. But all the situations that you see that happened to him while he was a clown for hire are only half true. He puts a spin on exactly what happened so they happen the way he wants them to happen, instead of putting them out there exactly the way they happen. So when you see him get attacked by the kids and beat up for the sign, that did happen to him while he was a clown for hire. But we also see that the boss does not believe his story. And this is the first Easter egg, the first clue that you're given to let you know that everything you're seeing isn't exactly the way it happened. So did Arthur Fleck murder the people in the subway? And the answer to that question is no. That's fake. He never murdered anybody in the subway. The murder in the subway is his fantasy of what he would have done or wanted to do to those kids. That murder never happened. That was in his head. And we see further proof of this by the scene that after he commits this murder, he then goes to the woman and starts making out with her before they even had their fake relationship. This would be only the second time that we've seen him in contact with her. But right after murdering these people, he goes and he makes out with this chick and eventually, from what we see, has sex with her. That's a fantasy. The whole thing was a fantasy. That is why he is in the exact same position when he gets assaulted by these men that he was when he got assaulted by the children. And where they got that fantasy from in real life is Bernard Goetz. Bernard Goetz is best known for the moniker the Subway Vigilante. Following his assault in 1981, Goetz was infuriated by the lack of prosecution of the three assailants. He decided to start carrying a gun for his own protection. In 1984, 4 teenagers approached Goetz again, but this time Goetz shot all 4, permanently paralyzing one of them. Now, before anybody learned who Bernard Goetz was, this act made him a folk hero, and people cheered him as the Subway Vigilante, saying that he was justified in shooting these people. And this is exactly what we see in the Joker movie. Headlines, people praising Arthur for doing exactly what he did, as they did in the Bernard Goetz case. So, did Arthur Fleck ever have a gun? The answer is no. He never had a gun. He was never given a gun by one of his co-workers. He never had a gun at the children's hospital. That is all a lie. That is all a fantasy. He used that fantasy to explain why he got fired from his job in the first place. So not to blame himself that it was not his fault that he got fired from the clown job, he used that in his own mind to justify his firing. That he dropped the gun accidentally at a children's hospital, an act that truly never happened. So did Arthur Fleck kill Murray Franklin? The answer is no. Since he was never given a gun in the first place, it is impossible for him to have committed all these murders with that gun. It is true that he would watch this show with his mother, and he would then dream about being on the show. He did dream about being a comedian, but we are also shown him going to perform his comedy bit with his fake girlfriend in the audience. So since she was never in the audience, Marty never received the tape of him performing, and that was all in his head. He made that up as a fantasy. That is why when he supposedly sees the scene of Marty making fun of him on the TV show, he is with his mother, but his mother is in the hospital and she can't watch the show. And I have proof that they give you in this movie that most people have missed. A huge clue that most people have missed that points directly to the fact that he did not commit any of these murders whatsoever. And I will give you that clue before this video is up. But if you can, please thumbs up this video, subscribe, and click that bell, because this is going to be a two-part series because I have too much to say in one video. So did Arthur Fleck meet Bruce Wayne? The answer is no. He never met young Bruce Wayne. He never performed for him with the nose. He never gave him a bouquet he made out of a magic wand. All of that is in his head. That never happened whatsoever. There's no way that Arthur Fleck would have been able to get to Bruce Wayne. It's just not possible. And we can see an Easter egg in this scene of Batman, because when he meets Bruce Wayne, we see Bruce Wayne come down a pole to meet him, and that is from the old Batman series from the 70s. In that series, Bruce Wayne would go to a statue, press a secret button in it, that would open a secret chamber in a wall which had 2 poles in it, and he and Robin would slide down these poles and then mysteriously be in Batman and Robin costumes when they entered the Batcave. So when you see young Bruce in this movie slide down the pole to meet Arthur Fleck, that is the Easter egg for that old 70s show. So was Arthur Fleck as the Joker indirectly the reason why Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered? In order to answer that question, I must answer this question first. Was the Joker in this movie at all? And the answer is the Joker was never in this movie at all. Him dressed up as the Joker and all the actions that he did as the Joker was all in his head. They were all a fantasy. So the Waynes being murdered by the people who were inspired by the Joker was all a fantasy. Yes, the Waynes were murdered, but he wanted to feel important. He wanted to feel like he had something to do with their actual downfall. And he did not put himself in the murder. He did not say that he was the one who pulled the trigger. Instead, by making up the fantasy, saying that he killed the talk show host Murray, this inspired people who eventually went out and killed the Wayne family. That's how he wanted it to go. He wished he had something to do with their murder because he did hate Bruce Wayne's father. The Waynes are the richest family in all of Gotham, and them getting killed would be public knowledge and front page headlines all over the city. So there's no doubt that he would have already known about them being murdered. And the movie, watching before they come out of the movie theater, is Zorro the Gay Blade. Now, in this movie, It goes like this. Zorro was a legendary swordsman, has passed his weapon and his sense of duty to his noble son Diego. But after an injury sidelines Diego, he is forced to hand the mask over to his flamboyant gay twin Ramon. So they are killed after coming out watching this comedy parody of Zorro, a person who passed the mantle down to his son. But his son gets murdered also, and then the gay son has to take over in this comedy. And in this movie, the gay Blade is the one who brings forth a revolution that people start to rally around him. And there's one famous quote from this movie, and it goes, "I have only one regret, that you will not live to see the glorious revolution that you have brought about." So Arthur Fleck sees himself as the gay Blade Zorro, the second son that brings forth this revolution. But did Arthur Fleck hate Thomas Wayne because he really believed that this was his true father? No, he never believed that this was his father. So that brings me to his mother. Did he actually smother his mother with a pillow? No. He never committed that crime of killing his own mother with a pillow in the hospital. She died of a stroke. That's how she passed away. And how I know this to be true is that he blames the police in the movie for telling them stuff about him that causes her stroke. But the cops never came looking for him because he never committed any crimes. When he made up the fantasy of him running into Bruce Wayne's father in the bathroom, what he asks him is, "Do you want an autograph?" When we see him with his mother, we see that she has a picture of her and Bruce Wayne, which seems more like an autograph. It's a good possibility that she did work for the Wayne's family, but it was his fantasy that while she worked there, she had an affair with him, and that's who his father was. It was his fantasy, thinking that his mother would write all these letters to him, trying to get help, because he wished that he had help from the Waynes because they were so rich and he was living in such squalor. But he knew in the end that he was adopted, and he hated the fact that he did not know who his father was. And you can see this fantasy play out from the beginning when he has the first dream of himself being on the Murray show. And then that dream, he has Murray say, "I wish I had a son like you." So the two most famous people that he sees on TV, he wishes was his father. And that's why he made up the fantasy of himself smothering his mother with the pillow. So did he kill his co-worker with the scissors in his apartment? And the answer is no. None of that ever happened because there was never any clown murders that have taken place for them to come over and ask him about that. He did not like that co-worker. That's why he made up the story about him giving him the gun and him costing him his job. And that's why he wished, because he hated him, that he stabbed him and killed him. That's why he says to the other co-worker, "You were always nice to me. I always liked you." And that's why in his own fantasy, he lets that guy go. So in this Joker movie, we actually have no Joker at all and no killings at all. What we have is in Arthur Fleck's head. And when we see him at the end of the movie, talking to the psychiatrist, and he's laughing, he says to her, "You wouldn't understand," because he just made up that whole scenario that you've seen in his head, and to him, all of that was funny. And the proof that this is what happened is the fact that when he goes and gets the file for his mother, and supposedly when he gets this file and finds out everything about himself and finds out everything about his mother, before he gets that file in Arkham Asylum, which he truly is locked up in, he asked the guy, "Did everybody in here commit a crime?" And the man says, "No, not everybody. some people are just crazy. Which brings us to the final scene of the movie, when he's there with the psychiatrist and he leaves the room with bloody footprints. If he did commit a murder ever in his life, that was the first murder he ever committed. But did he kill that psychiatrist? Well, there is proof that points in one direction or the other, but I will not do it in this video. I will put it in my next Joker video. So make sure you subscribe and hit that thumbs up button so you can be notified when that video is posted. And please share this video across all social media. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.